Die. You are standing in the suffocating heat of a Louisiana summer, 1829. The air is thick with the smell of sweat and cotton dust, the sound of chains clinking in the distance. Die. But there is another sound now. A sound that has not been heard on this plantation in living memory. It is the sound of silence. The overseers are not shouting. The whips are not cracking. Die. The dogs are not barking. Something has happened in the night. Something that has turned this place of torment into a house of the dead. 17 men are dead. 17 overseers? Die. The enforcers of a brutal regime have been found in the morning light. Their bodies are broken, their eyes frozen in terror, and the man who did it, he is gone. Die. This is the story of the impossible escape, a slave who did what no one thought possible, a man who turned the instruments of his own oppression into weapons of vengeance, and a journey into darkness that left a trail of blood from the cotton fields of Louisiana to the swamps of the Mississippi Delta. His name has been erased from history. Die! The planters who survived him made sure of that. They burned his name from the records. They destroyed his papers. They buried his story beneath layers of silence and shame. But the silence has a voice. Die! And tonight, we are going to listen. Let us travel back to a world that existed before the Civil War, before the abolitionists, before the Underground Railroad was more than a whispered rumor. The year is 1829. Andrew Jackson is president. The cotton gin has transformed the South into a machine of profit, and the machine runs on human flesh. In the parish of St. Landry, Louisiana, there is a plantation called Bellefontaine. It is a sprawling estate of 2,000 acres, a kingdom of white columns and black iron. The mansion sits on a hill, a temple of wealth built on the backs of the enslaved. The fields stretch for miles, endless rows of cotton that seem to go on forever. The owner of Bellefontaine is a man named Jean-Pierre Duval. He is a French Creole, a man of old money and old cruelty. He inherited the plantation from his father, who inherited it from his father. The Duvals have owned slaves for 3 generations. They have mastered the art of extracting profit from human suffering. Duval is a tall man with a long face and cold eyes. He wears fine clothes and speaks in a soft, measured voice. He is never angry. He is never out of control. He simply gives orders, and the orders are carried out with brutal efficiency. His overseers are the instruments of his will. There are 17 of them, and each responsible for a section of the plantation. They are a collection of men who have found their calling in cruelty. They are the men who carry the whips, who set the dogs, who decide who eats and who starves. And they are the men who will die. The slave who had become their executioner was known simply as Moses. He was a tall man, broad-shouldered, with arms like iron cables and hands that could crush a man's skull. He was born in Africa in a village that has no name in the records. He was captured as a young man, sold, and transported across the ocean in the belly of a slave ship. He survived the Middle Passage. He survived the auction block. He survived the brutal break-in period. Where the overseers used whips and fire to break the spirit of their new property. He was a survivor, but he was also something else. He was a man who remembered. He remembered his village. He remembered the music and the dancing. He remembered his mother's face, his father's strength. He remembered his name, the name that the white men could not pronounce and did not bother to learn. And he remembered the day he was taken, the raid on his village, the fires and the screams, the chains on his wrists and the iron collar around his neck. He remembered it all, and he did not forget. The overseers of Bellefontaine thought they had broken him. They thought they had turned him into a docile worker, a mindless beast of burden. But they were wrong. Moses was not broken. He was waiting. Die. The year is 1827. Moses has been on Bellefontaine for 5 years. He has been assigned to the fields, the hardest and most brutal work on the plantation. He works from dawn to dusk, his back bent, his hands bleeding, his body aching. He is beaten. He is starved. He is treated like an animal. But he is watching. He watches the overseers. He learns their habits, their routines, their weaknesses. Die. He watches them drink whiskey, brag about their cruelties, make plans for the future. He learns which ones are careless, which ones are drunk, which ones are afraid. He learns about the dogs. Die. They are the greatest threat the enforcers of the overseers will. They are trained to hunt, to track to tear apart any slave who dares to run. They are fed on the flesh of their victims. Die. And their loyalty is absolute. Moses learns about the dogs. He learns their names, their faces, their sounds. He learns which ones are brave and which ones are cowards. He learns how to kill them. Die. He learns about the weapons. The overseers carry rifles and pistols, but they are not always careful. They leave them lying around, their pride making them careless. Moses notes where they are kept. Die. How they are maintained when they are loaded. He learns about the layout of the plantation, the fields, the cabins, the barns, the mansion. He learns where the exits are, where the hiding places are. Die. Where the boats are kept on the river. But he also learns about the silence, the deep, suffocating silence that descends on a plantation after the overseers have done their work. Die. The silence of the broken, the defeated, the dead. He begins to understand that the silence is not peace. It is a waiting, a terrible, patient waiting for the moment when the balance will shift. Die. And Moses is not the only one waiting. There are others on Bellefontaine who have not been broken. They are the ones who still dream of freedom, who still remember a world without chains. Die. They are the ones who gather in the shadows after the overseers have gone whispering in the darkness. Moses begins to meet with them. He learns their names, their stories, their hopes. Die! He learns about their families, their losses, their dreams. He learns that he is not alone. There is a woman named Sarah. She's a cook in the mansion. Die! And she is the eyes and ears of the enslaved community. She knows everything that happens in the house. She knows the master's plans, the overseer's secrets, the schedule of the guards. Die. There is a man named Thomas. He is a blacksmith, and he has access to tools and weapons. He can forge blades and repair guns. He has already hidden a small arsenal beneath the floorboards of his cabin. Die. There is a young man named Caleb. He is a field hand, and he has the strength and speed of a wild animal. He can run for miles without stopping, and he knows the swamps and forests around the plantation better than anyone. And there are others. 12, then 20, then 30. They gather in secret in the darkness of the cabins. Die in the shadows of the cotton fields. They make plans. They dream of escape. But Moses, that escape is not enough. They are surrounded by miles of hostile territory. The swamps are dangerous. And full of alligators and snakes and quicksand. The towns are full of patrols and posses, men who would kill them on sight. The river is patrolled by steamboats and armed guards. They cannot simply run. They must fight. They must make their escape impossible to follow. They must leave behind a message that will echo through the ages. They must kill the overseers. Toot. The plan takes months to develop. Moses and his allies move with the precision of soldiers. They test their weapons in secret. They practice their movements in the dark. They memorize every detail of the plantation. The night of the escape is chosen with care. It is a night of the new moon when the darkness is absolute. It is a night when the overseers are expected to be drunk. celebrating the end of the harvest. It is a night when the dogs will be distracted, fed, and satisfied. Moses gives the signal at midnight. Die. It is a single haunting note, the cry of a night bird. It echoes across the fields and the plan begins. The first kill is silent. Moses moves through the darkness, a shadow among shadows. Die. He enters the cabin of the first overseer, a man named Brantley, who is known for his cruelty with the whip. Brantley is asleep, his snores filling the small room. Moses stands over him for a moment. Die. He looks at the man who has beaten him, who has made him suffer, who has treated him like less than a human. He feels no rage. He feels nothing at all. He is an instrument of justice, and he will do what must be done. He lowers his hands, and the overseer's neck snaps with a sound like a dry branch breaking. Brantley does not wake up. He does not cry out. He simply stops breathing and die. Moses moves to the next cabin. The second overseer, a man named Calloway, is also asleep. He is dead before he knows what is happening. The third is the same, the fourth, the fifth, but the sixth is not. Die. He wakes up and sees Moses' face. His eyes widen, his mouth opens. Moses is faster. He covers the man's mouth with one hand and drives a knife into his heart. The overseer makes a choking sound. Die. And then he is still. But the damage is done. There has been a sound, a strangled cry that carried across the night. In the distance, the dog begins to bark. Then another. Then a chorus of barking. And die. The dogs have been alerted. The hunt has begun. Moses, does not panic. He has prepared for this. He knows that the dogs will come, and he knows what he must do. He signals to his allies, die, and they move into action. Sarah, the cook, has prepared a special meal for the dogs. It is laced with a powerful narcotic, a concoction of herbs and roots that she has learned from her grandmother. Die. The dogs will not be hunting tonight. They will be sleeping, dreaming of the flesh they will not taste. But there is one dog that is not fooled. He is a huge black animal. Die. A mastiff raised by the overseers to kill. He breaks away from the pack, sniffs the air, and begins to track. He tracks Moses through the darkness, his eyes glowing green in the moonlight. Die. His teeth are bared and his growl is low and menacing. Moses does not run. He knows that running will only make the dog faster. He turns and faces the animal, standing his ground. The dog leaps. Die. It is a massive, powerful animal, and its weight would crush a lesser man. But Moses is not a lesser man. He is a survivor, a fighter, a man who has been waiting for this moment his entire life. He catches the dog in mid-air, his hands locking around its throat. The dog thrashes, its claws tearing at his chest, its teeth snapping at his face. But Moses holds on. He squeezes. Die. He squeezes until he can feel the dog's windpipe collapse. The dog dies, and Moses throws its body aside. The barking has stopped. The night is silent again. The overseers have not been so lucky. Die. Of the 17 men who were supposed to be guarding the plantation, only one remains alive. He is a young man named Wilcox, and he has hidden in the mansion, barricaded in a room with a shotgun. He hears the screams of the attack. He hears the scream of his fellow overseers as they are dragged from their cabins and killed. He hears the footsteps of the slaves as they move through the darkness. Die, he prays. He has never prayed before, but he prays now. He prays for deliverance. He prays for the sun to rise. He prays for the moment when the terror will be over. The sun rises. Die. Wilcox hears footsteps on the stairs. He aims his shotgun at the door. He will not go down without a fight. The door opens. Moses stands in the doorway. His eyes are cold. His face is covered in blood. Die. His hands are red. Please, Wilcox begs. I have a wife. I have children. Please. Moses looks at him for a long moment. He has seen the wives and children of the slaves. Die. He has seen their suffering. He has seen the families torn apart, the children sold, the women raped. He is not moved. Take me to your wife, Moses says. Take me to your children. Die. I will show them the same mercy I've shown the slaves of this plantation. Wilcox opens his mouth to speak, but no words come out. He has no words. Die. He has only the face of the man who is about to end his life. Moses does not kill him. He leaves him on the plantation, tied to a post in the center of the fields. Die. He leaves him to look at the bodies of his friends, his colleagues, his brothers in cruelty. He leaves him to face the judgment of the world. The escape is not a simple flight. It is a statement. And die. It is a message that will be carried on the wind, passed from slave to slave, from cabin to cabin, from plantation to plantation. Moses and his followers do not run. They walk. Die, they walk through the fields, through the swamps, through the forests of the Mississippi Delta. They walk because running would mean that they are afraid, and they are not afraid. They are free. Die. But the escape is not easy. The swamps are alive with danger. The alligators are hungry. The snakes are waiting. The quicksand is everywhere. The mosquitoes are relentless. Die, carrying disease and death. The slaves who have joined Moses are not all strong. There are women and children among them. There are the elderly and the sick. Die. There are those who are too weak to survive the journey. Moses leads them anyway. He carries the children on his back. He supports the old and the sick. He is the pillar of their strength, their hope. Die, their faith. He will not let them die. They walk for 3 days. They walk through the night, stopping only when exhaustion forces them to rest. Die, they drink from the streams and eat whatever they can find. They survive on berries and roots, on fish and frogs. But the hunters are coming. The news of the escape has spread. Die. And a posse of armed men is tracking them. They are men who hate the slaves more than they fear the swamps. They are men who would kill them all without mercy. Die. Moses knows that they cannot outrun the hunters. They must find a place to hide, a place where the hunters will not follow. He has heard of such a place, a legend among the slaves of the Delta. Die. It is a place called the Forbidden Bayou. It is a swamp within a swamp, a maze of creeks and channels that no one can navigate. It is said to be haunted by the spirits of the dead. Die. By the souls of slaves who escaped but never made it to freedom. It is a place of terror, a place of death, a place where no one dares to go. Moses leads his followers into the Forbidden Bayou. Die. The bayou is a nightmare. The water is dark and still, reflecting the twisted trees above. The branches are tangled together, forming a canopy that blocks out the sun. Die. The air is thick and osc with the smell of decay. The slaves move in silence, their footsteps making no sound. They know that the hunters are close behind. They know that any noise could mean death. They find a small island, a patch of dry land in the middle of the swamp. It is barely large enough for them to stand on, but it is a refuge. They build a fire, using a damp cloth to muffle the smoke. Die! They dry their clothes and tend to their wounds. But the hunters are not fooled. They have their own guides, men who know the swamp. They are closing in, their torches lighting the darkness. Die! Moses knows that they cannot stay. They must keep moving, or they will be trapped. He leads his followers deeper in the bayou through channels so narrow that they have to walk in single file. Die. He finds a hidden cave, a hollow in the limestone rock that is invisible from the surface. The entrance is a narrow crack, just wide enough for a man to squeeze through. Inside, the cave is dark and damp, but it is safe. The slaves hide in the cave for 3 days. They survive on the water that drips from the ceiling and the bugs that crawl on the walls. They stay silent, motionless, waiting for the hunters to give up. The hunters are patient. They have surrounded the cave, waiting for the slaves to emerge. They are not going anywhere. Moses knows that they cannot wait forever. They must fight or die. He has only a few weapons, the knives and axes they managed to grab before they fled. The hunters have rifles and pistols. But Moses has something that the hunters do not have. He has the darkness. He has the swamp. He has the spirits of the dead. He moves out of the cave at dusk. He moves through the darkness like a ghost. His feet silent on the swamp floor. He finds the hunters one by one, and he does to them what they have done to so many slaves. He kills them. By the time the sun rises, the hunters are dead. Their bodies lie in the swamp. Food for the alligators, a warning to any who would follow. The message is clear: the slaves of the forbidden bayou will not be hunted. Moses and his followers continue their journey. They walk for weeks, moving from swamp to swamp, from river to river. They are heading north, toward the land of freedom. They are heading toward the place where the slaves go to be free. But the journey is not over. There are many obstacles in their path. There are the river crossings, treacherous and dangerous. There are the towns full of hostile eyes and pointing fingers. There are the patrols looking for fugitives to return to their masters. Moses leads his followers with a skill that seems supernatural. He avoids the patrols, evades the traps, outwits the hunters. He is a magician, a prophet, a savior. He is the leader of the impossible escape. But Moses is also a killer. He has killed so many men that he has lost count. He has killed for food, for shelter, for survival. He has killed because it was the only way to protect his followers, to keep them alive, to get them to freedom. He is not proud of his killings. He is not ashamed of them. He is simply resolved. He will do what must be done. He will not stop until he has led his people to safety. His followers begin to see him as something more than a man. They see him as a prophet, a leader sent by God. They see him as a symbol of hope, of resistance, of freedom. They see him as the impossible made possible. But they do not know the price of the impossible. They do not know the darkness that is inside Moses. They do not know the horror that he has become. One night, Moses is not there when the survivors wake. They search for him, but he has left no trace. He has simply vanished, disappeared into the darkness of the swamp. They look for him among the trees, among the reeds in the waters of the river. He is gone. The survivors stand in a circle, their hands cold. They are cold despite the heat, because a part of them a part they all know intimately, has learned to fear what he represents. They are afraid of what he has done, and they are afraid of what he will do. He is still out there. He is still with them. He has simply become something else, something that exists beyond the boundaries of their understanding. The survivors do not know what to do. They are alone, without their leader, without their guide, without their hope. They are scared, confused, and tired. They look at each other, and they realize that they are not alone. They are all connected to Moses, all touched by him, all part of the same nightmare. They are all part of the impossible escape. They decided to continue their journey. They have come so far, and they cannot give up now. They walk north and following the path that Moses set for them. They walk toward the freedom that Moses promised them. They walk for days, for weeks, for months. They walk through the swamps and the forests, across the rivers and the fields. They walk until they reach the Ohio River. They are free. The survivors of the impossible escape live out their lives in freedom. They become farmers, laborers, ministers. They build homes, raise families, and contribute to their communities. They are the living proof that the impossible is possible. But they never forget Moses. Die. They tell his story to their children, and their children tell it to their children. They sing songs about him, and they tell stories about him. He is the hero of their people, the symbol of their hope. And die. They say that Moses is still out there walking the shadows of the swamps, looking for new worlds to conquer. They say that he is still leading people to freedom, still fighting the darkness. Die. Still seeking the light. They say that he is the ghost of the impossible escape, the spirit of the broken and the damned. They say that he rides on the wind. Die. Whispering freedom into the ears of the enslaved. But they also say that he is a killer. They say that he will kill anyone who stands in his way, anyone who threatens his people. Die. Anyone who dares to oppose the forces of justice. They say that he is the darkness itself, the shadow of the enslaved, the nightmare of the oppressor. And they say that he still rides the night. Die. Seeking the new face of evil, the new face of corruption, the new face of the dark. He is out there, waiting. He is patient, he is relentless. Die. And he will not stop until every chain is broken and every voice is free. Cue on a cold winter night in the year 1835, 6 years after the impossible escape. Die. A man in a suit is found dead in a hotel room in New Orleans. He is a cotton trader, a wealthy man who has made his fortune on the backs of the slaves. He has been killed with a single blow to the head. Die. His skull crushed by a heavy object. There are no witnesses. There are no clues. The killer has vanished into the night. But on the wall of the hotel room, written in the dead man's blood, die, are 3 words. I.A.M.S.T.I.O. The impossible escape of a slave that left 17 overseers dead is a work of historical horror fiction based on themes of slave resistance, marronage, and the struggle for freedom, while rooted in the documented history of American slavery and the legends of the Underground Railroad. Die. It is a dramatized narrative and should be enjoyed as such. For historical context on slave flight and resistance, see Handler's study of marronage in Barbados, accounts of the Underground Railroad, Die, and analysis of slave revolts in Brazil and the Americas. Die. The Nat Turner Rebellion of 1831 provides historical precedent for organized slave resistance that left dozens dead. Thank you for watching Liturgy of Fear. Die. We bring you the darkness so you can appreciate the light. Sleep well. Or don't. We won't judge. Eve, comment below. What do you think happened to Moses? Did he die in the swamp? Die. Did he escape to freedom? Or is he still out there waiting, watching, riding the shadows of the night? Like and subscribe. Die. And ring the bell so you never miss a story. For the next one might be about